Okay, so let's take an example of Toyota car, that we are creating a car template for Toyota company, and based on the base template we would be able to create multiple objects, multiple instances. So name is Toyota car, name of the class. Let's say it has some attributes associated with it. The attribute could be color, could be a model, or the type of the car. The behavior of that car is it can go forward, it can go reverse, or whatever behavior that we want to perform. These are some functionality that particular car can perform. Okay? And these are interchangeable terms. I may ask you like what is the class name, or I can also ask like what is the class type. So both are same. So if I ask what is the class type, you can call it tell it it's Toyota car. Okay. Similarly, attributes is a term which is interchangeably used in other programming language with properties and characteristics. Okay, so in Java you may find a Java developer using term properties of the class or the characteristics of the class. Attributes are usually associated with Python programming. Anyway, so let's look at the skeleton program for this class. Class Toyota car is the name of the class, and then we first have the initializer method. The first parameter of each method is self, and then in the initializer method we have some additional parameters: color, model, type. And what I'm doing is whatever the value of the color is assigned to it, I'm assigning it to another local variable called color, self.color. I will explain what is the significance of using self.color. Okay, basically self.color will tell me that which particular car I'm talking about, which automatically tells Python that, for example, if I create multiple cars, multiple objects based on this Toyota car, so self will help Python identify which car I'm talking about. Okay, so this is what we call the initializer method. Okay, so we talked about the classes, which is a template. Based on the template we can create as many objects as we want. Okay, and the creation of an object based on the class template is referred as instantiation, and each object is referred as instance. So when I say instance of Toyota car, I'm talking about object that is created out of class template named Toyota car. Okay, so the process of creating an object from a class template is called instantiation, and the object that is created is referred as instance. Again, these are technical terms that are very important, and you may expect to have been asked in an interview. Okay, and again from equally important from exam perspective as well. Okay, so in documentation, generally the classes are represented with this kind of tabular form or diagram. So the first box will tell you the name of the class, which is Toyota car here. The second box will tell you the attributes associated with the class. Here, color, model, and type. And the last box tells you what operations we can perform on this class. So forward, reverse, by looking at its syntax, you can easily identify that it's a method. Okay, so the behaviors. So let's say we have this Toyota car class created, and based on this car, I can create an instance, a new object, and give it a name Highlander. So Highlander is based on Toyota car template, and it has a color blue, model 2019, and the type is SUV. And I can perform this operation on Highlander, like it can go forward, it can go reverse, or if I want to add some additional functionality, I can do that here. Okay. Similarly, just like Highlander, I can create another instance. Let's call it Corolla. So Corolla has a different attributes: color, black, model 2020, and type is sedan, and it can also go forward and backward. So you can see here, the forward method may have a complex functionality. Maybe like it may consist of like 500 lines of code. Could be. and reverse may also have another, let's say 800 lines of codes. So while you are creating an object, you do not need to repeat that piece of code again and again. Okay? That function you can execute on Highlander, you can execute on Corolla, and you can execute on other 200 cars that you may create. Okay? You do not need to repeat the same piece of code again and again. Just like I can create an IOTA application, that's a real application that you have been using. So I created a student template, and the template contains student name, student ID, email, etc., etc. Okay, and I can create first student based on that template, and I can create like hundreds of students based on that template. I do not need to give them a separate name again and again. Okay, so do you see how application can grow with the help of this object-oriented programming? If you do not follow this approach, how would you be able to store hundreds of students of data? Would you be using list only? So list, with the help of a list, you cannot specify like what is particular attribute. Like you can define, you can make your own standard. You can call it like first three elements in a list may refer to ID, name, email address, and then after the first three elements, the next three elements would be corresponding to another student. But that is very complicated way of maintaining your data. Yep.
Can you make a list of objects in it?
Yeah, we can do that. And this is how I did it in IOTA first. Yep. All right, so we have talked about object-oriented approach, which is not a language, it's just an approach of creating applications. We have talked about classes, that's a template, blueprint. Based on class, just like Toyota car, we can create as many instances as we want, as many objects as we want. Okay? So look at this thing again, the Toyota car, the skeleton template, and this is how we create instance based on the class. So here Toyota car is the class template. I would specify Toyota car. I will pass these three parameters. Why I'm passing these three parameters? Can anyone tell me? I talked about the initializer method. So when I create an object, I give it a name Corolla. Whenever I create an object, initializer method will automatically run. Okay? And whenever we call any function, we need to pass the required number of arguments. Okay? So if we do not pass the required number of arguments to the initializer method, it will throw off an error that you are not passing the required number of arguments. So that is why here we have three arguments ignoring self. We do not need to pass anything for self. So color, model type, I need to pass three values. Okay? So this is how we can create objects based on a class. So there are only two examples here. You can create 200s of such instances. And you do not need to repeat everything again and again. Okay? All right, so there's another thing. Again, I'm discussing a few terminologies. And after this slide, I'll jump into the demo. So attribute reference operator, dot operator, just like you would create a module, and from that module, you just access any particular object, any particular function with the help of a dot operator. Same is the case here. You can access any attribute or even any method with the help of dot operator. So for example, again, in this simple Toyota car example, I have created two instances, Corolla and Highlander. And when I'm doing this operation, Corolla.color, what do you expect that it will print? It will print black because the black color is associated with Corolla. So now it may sound like weird because you have already just defined it. You may actually automate this process. So in this example, you have just defined it, and so you know that whenever you print, it will print black color. But in IOTA, I don't follow this procedure. I would just provide the Excel sheet, and I would ask like create as many objects as there are number of students. And I do not have any idea like what are their attributes, what is their ID. But if I want to find out I would just I would just specify the name of the student, and I would try to access. I can easily access their ID, associated email address, their grades, and all that. Okay. So this thing particular, for example, here it will return black.